Early voting has started in New Mexico, and more than 330,000 voters have requested absentee ballots. That's an amazing number. Commercial breaks in the local news can be entirely made up of political ads, as you know, and the debates have begun. We are in the throes of a very contentious election, as you know, and the line is here to look at two top-of-the-ballot races for Senate and the Southern New Mexico congressional seat. Joining me safely and remotely is former House Representative and line regular Daniel Foley. Inez Russell Gomez, right underneath him. She's the editorial page editor for the Santa Fe New Mexican. Also with us through the magic of Zoom and providing the third voice in this trio of panelists, attorney and line regular Sophie Martin. All right, let's start with the Senate race. KOB TV hosted the first debate this week. It certainly wasn't a barn burner, but Republican Mark Ronchetti worked hard to say Ben Ray Lujan was too busy playing politics to be effective. And Mr. Lujan looked to build his image as a capable D.C. navigator and paint Mr. Ronchetti as a little more than a Trump disciple. Now, Libertarian Bob Walsh was there, of course, though he largely focused on making a case for his party, not so much his own candidacy. And Sophie, interesting. I'm sorry, let me start with Inez on this, my fault. Anything in the debate that perked up your ears particularly?
I think that the main point for the debate was that Lujan has to keep introducing himself to a wider swath of New Mexicans because he is a 3rd congressional district person. And Mark Ronchetti, for a challenger, is probably almost as well known because he was the weatherman for most of New Mexico for so many years.
Right.
So I thought that had to happen. And I think, both of them managed to do that. The main thing that I thought is that I think that those tired tropes like you're a Nancy Pelosi Democrat, you're radical, I don't think those work anymore. What I took out of it is that Lujan wanted to focus on health care and focus on the fact that if the Supreme Court takes away the Affordable Care Act, a lot of people in New Mexico are going to be losing their insurance, which is something that, many people do fear, including me, who has a 24-year-old on my insurance policy. And Ronchetti really focused on crime. So I'm really curious now to see if people are more afraid of a criminal attacking them on the street or if they're worried about their health in the midst of a pandemic. And I also wanted to shout out to Phil Casals, our editor at the New Mexican, because we were co-sponsors of the debate, and we were a little concerned that the representative from our district was not going to actually appear. So I was glad that all the candidates were there, although I question whether a third-party candidate eats into the time that we might be better served listening to the main party. Being on the ballot, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a factor in the race. And I don't know, if that's Democratic or not, but I think that's a real kind of time waster.
That's a tough one. It is a recognized major party, but I hear your point, as these things go. That's a tough deal. Daniel, let me ask you this. Inez makes an interesting point there. Mr. Ronchetti has hung his hat on crime, certainly. He tells a lot about the story about that unfortunate situation of the break-in at his home with his wife and his kids were in the home. Very scary, sounds like, but a lot of folks have gone through that in our state, unfortunately. Is he ringing a bell here that people are going to be able to hear enough of to be able to get him over the top?
I think there's a couple things. First, apparently I just got a text. We got our former colleague Justine Fox Young and her husband Evan Blackstone watching us live on Facebook Live, and they are critiquing my storage shed that I'm hunkered down in the bunker here. So I just want to say that I'm following their path and moving out and getting away from everybody. I do think that the crime thing resonates only from the extent that it's in the news all the time, right? I mean, we keep hearing about whether it's, people angry that they're sending out federal law enforcement folks in New Mexico to, we're at the top of all the bad lists. So I think it does resonate with folks. I don't agree with Inez. I do think that at some point, when these folks are tying you to something, I think, I don't think people dislike Democrats in New Mexico, but I don't think people in New Mexico like Nancy Pelosi. Just like I don't think people dislike Republicans, but I don't think they're excited about Donald Trump. So, I think that if you can lump that guy into the basket, when we ran legislative campaigns, for years we sent out, the candidate was always with a picture with Manny Aragon or Raymond Sanchez, and that's what you do. So I think it's interesting. I was surprised at how lackluster the debate was. I mean, just this, this complete, it almost looked like something from, a movie with, where they both were just kind of up there. I'm surprised how close it is. This is Trump is not doing very well in New Mexico from the polls that we see, but Ronchetti seems to be outperforming performing that. The question is, can it happen? Finally, I would say the crime thing is a good move for Ronchetti, because the battleground for Ronchetti is Albuquerque. Right. There's a big portion of the state that's going to go for him. Yep. There's a portion of the state that's going for Ben Ray in northern New Mexico, southeastern New Mexico. You're fighting for those people in Albuquerque, especially with as many that have moved in over the last few years that are registering as independents. And I think to them, crime is a real issue that they're facing every day in New Mexico. And so I think it puts them in a good position.
Mr. Ronchetti, of course, has the endorsement of the Albuquerque Police Officers Association as well on that crime issue. Sophie, interestingly, the public policy polling has Mr. Lujan up by 10 points, with the party faithful hewing pretty close to the Democratic Party, to the nominee, certainly. And Mr. Ronchetti is keeping it close among independents, and that's interesting to me. What's your thought there? Might this turn on independents at the end of the day?
I think the independent vote is going to be important, but I think there are two things that are notable in even sort of what we've already started talking about here. One is that both candidates in that debate really hewed to what we know Democrats and Republicans care about on a national level. Polling indicates that crime is one of the highest issues for Republicans nationally. Healthcare is one of the highest issues, and of course, coronavirus one of the highest issues for Democrats. So, in some ways, these policy stands are not surprising. But the other thing I think that's worth noting is that this is a Senate race, and New Mexicans have had a tendency, it seems to me, to look at the Senate and say, we need power in the Senate to protect us because we are a small state. We don't have a lot of mojo usually in the House, although Ben Ray Lujan has certainly changed that for us in the last couple of years. And so we have tended to back the incumbent with people crossing party lines to support an incumbent in order to maintain that higher level of power that we have as a small state within the Senate, equal power to other states, but still relative to our size. And so of the two, which one is more incumbent-y? It seems to me that Ben Ray Lujan is, because of his relationships in DC, and that he may benefit as well from that relationship building. It's interesting that Mark Ronchetti has attempted to attack that as being a negative, but in New Mexico, for the Senate, that has generally been perceived as a bonus for us and not as a negative. That's
an interesting point. Having an insider for us is, not necessarily a negative when you think about some of our history.
You think of Pete Domenici, for instance. Even as the state became more democratic, the public continued to vote for Pete.
Make a quick pivot here. By the way, we're going to broadcast the second debate for the Senate race on Sunday, October 18th at 6 p.m. right here on NMPBS. So be sure to join us there.
I would add also that the state, we've been, what's been interesting is for the first time since Senator Domenici and Senator Bingaman, not only did we have an air of incumbency, there seemed to be a real desire to have one on each side, right? There seemed to always, New Mexico always wanted to say, hey, if the Democrats are in power in the Senate, we're good. If the Republicans are, we're good. And we haven't done that for the last few years. So it's going to be interesting to see if this plays into, regardless of political prowess, if there's a belief that, right now the Senate is front and center with the confirmation of a Supreme Court justice, with Republicans saying, hey, look, we're going to do it this way. We're going to expedite this hearing. We're going to have it done. You're seeing the Senate kind of flex its muscle. And so it's going to be interesting to see if there's New Mexicans out there who sit back and say, we got someone on the left right now. Maybe we should make sure we have someone on the right. And I wonder if that's adding to the prowess of Mark Ronchetti gaining some stature. The other thing too is, look, at the end of the day, I've known Ben Ray for a long time. I think Ben Ray's a fine guy. This is just my opinion. I think when those two were standing up there, Ben Ray just doesn't look as senatorial. He just doesn't look like a U.S. senator. I mean, he seemed kind of nervous in front of the camera. He just didn't seem as comfortable as you're used to seeing from, these U.S. senators. When you see them on TV, they seem to always, be calm, have everything ready to go. And, obviously.
Quick favor, Daniel. Quick favor. I need to move to CD2 here real quick. I hear you on the Senate stuff and Ben's continence, but I need to move on. Inez, real quick, we only have a poll for the 2nd Congressional District showing a very thin 2-point lead for Xochitl Torres Small and that was just before Labor Day. What's your sense of that race, real quick, as we sit here?
Well, from Santa Fe, it seems to me that the number of people voting in Doña Ana County indicate that people really are interested in this election, and I think that's going to be good for Torres Small.
Right.
I actually think she's going to do better than what it appears in the polls.
I hear you. Sophie, pick up on that. We'll give Inez a chance to mute that, and you might be getting a delivery. You never know. This is Zoom world. I think it's kind of fun.
I love seeing your dog in the
I
background.
think it's
It makes
great.
me really happy.
I'm sorry.
I think that this is one of those interesting races where neither of the candidates is an unknown quantity
Right.
in CD2 because they have fought this out before.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have an incumbent who I think was considered sort of an unusual choice for that district, but has certainly seemed to try to tailor her work and her positions to reflect what we do see in CD2, which is that there's the more progressive hub in Las Cruces, and then of course it is one of the most rural, if not the most rural, congressional districts in the country.
Let me include Dan real quick on this too.
Yeah.
On CD2, Dan, I got a specific question here. I mean, we've all seen the ads, and she's trying. Xochitl Torres Small is trying so hard not to appear too liberal. And I'm curious, if you got just about 40 seconds on this.
I think she's done a phenomenal job. I think she's done a phenomenal job,
Yeah.
and I don't mean this negatively. I think she's definitely a progressive candidate, and there's
Okay.
no problem with it. That's who she is.
Yeah.
But she clearly created a marketing team, has done a phenomenal job making people think she's middle of the road and she's there to help everybody. And that's why I think the race is close. I think if it was a true, this is who she is and this is who Annette Harrell is, I think that you'd find that it would be hard for Xochitl to get reelected. But she may pull it out because of her ability to really put ads out there that put her in the center and the mainstream.
Gotcha.
And this really seems like this is about turnout.
That's a good point.
With these two known candidates, who's going to turn out the vote?
Mm-hmm. Very good. I'm glad you got that in. Good point there. Out of time for the moment, but after a quick pause, we'll give you a preview of Sunday night's candidate conversations in CD2.